chocolate pudding tree, stump and reclump video. Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube channel, where I talk about things like this. Yep, so I have other videos about topics which overlap with this topic, but I just wanted to go into this one specifically, which is my stump and reclump of the chocolate pudding tree. This has been a beautiful tree. Beautiful tree. Look at this one. Look at that leaf. This is what a chocolate pudding tree leaf looks like. Now this one you can see has this white dust on it. Sometimes that's a fungus. In this case it's salt. It's actually salt and minerals from the sprinklers and the sea air. But so if I polish it off, you can see what it looks like when you don't have a constant salt coating being applied on it, mineral. It looks like this. It's an ovate leaf, very glossy. It's a sexy leaf. And it produces fruit. Now this is actually what the fruit looks like when it's in its initial stage of development. Oh, look at that. Hey, you know, sometimes we ask ourselves, have you picked a chocolate pudding tree fruit flower today? And I would have to answer, well, yes, I have. And when you pick a flower, what's the first thing? Smell it. It smells like a rotting small piece of vegetation. But this is going to be a chocolate pudding fruit. Now I had to trim my chocolate pudding tree, which I've owned for about 20 years. Planted it back here, a little guy. It had the thickness in its trunk of this, and now it has the thickness in its trunk of this. I fed it many fish, many dead fish. Many dead fish. And by the way, I'll give a shout out to my recent survey on what's the best fertilizer. I gave some trick answers, like, fertilizer you buy at the store, and then I threw in there fish waste. And that was the most popular answer. That's what I've done to this tree. And it was super vigorous over the years. It's gotten the tar whipped out of it so many times by hurricanes. It's incredible, and that's why it has this tilt. This is the direction of the east wind, right over. Now, sometimes the hurricane weird west wind if it's in a certain place. Anyway, before it gets too boring, I'll just say that I had to bring down the height of this thing because it was so tall. It was 2.5 times as tall as it is now, which is about maybe 15 feet or so tall, is where I brought it down to, from about probably 55 feet tall maybe. And so that opened up all the shade to the grass down here, which is one of the reasons I did it. It also meant, I don't know, here's another good question. Have you ever picked a chocolate pudding fruit that's 50 feet in the air? I have, and it gets old. So now we'll pick them lower, and the cool thing is, this typically happens with fruit trees. I found that as you trim them, it's the old growth that'll produce the fruit. So the new growth, you're not going to typically, it's different on some. Mulberry's different on some, I know. But on this tree, it won't produce the new flowers right away. Those flowers are going to come from the old woody growth. You see, that's also the right place to take a cutting. And I've never tried to grow one of these from a cutting, which that just gave me the idea right there. But so I stumped it, and never really really hat racked or topped off the main trunk of a pudding tree before. But I did this time, and look at what happened. It enjoyed it, and it's going to grow a nice, healthy, thicker canopy, and it's just sprouting everywhere. Right now it kind of looks like a hat rack tree, but the encouraging part is that it is growing beautifully. And one of the cool things that I already pointed out, just want to point it out again, is the shininess of these leaves, the resiliency of these leaves, that they can withstand this kind of mineral deposit and still look great. They don't have any brown edges. My yard will put you to the test if you're a plant. It wants to see like you want to go do a little this. How's that? You want some of this? A little yellow on the end? You want a little brown, burned leaves? Want a little of this action right here? Are we burn the leaves? Yeah, down the bottom. See? Burned leaves? Yeah, it's burned leaves. That's that sprinkler right there, that hodgepodge sprinkler. But this tree, it seems to take it like a champ. So, hey, why not get a chocolate pudding tree for your yard? First question I would ask is, where would I get a chocolate pudding tree? I would say you get it from a nursery that sells chocolate pudding tree fruits. And I don't mean that to be condescending. I'm just saying, you'd have to kind of call around. And I'm sure you'll find a million if you check the interweb. But you can. The cool thing is it grows rather vigorously and produces an interesting novel fruit, which tastes. I'm just gonna be straight up with you guys. It tastes horrible. It's disgusting. Like, that's it. But, you know, maybe if you know something more than I do, you can make it taste delicious. So I don't know. It might just be my way of growing it. Maybe I fertilized it wrong. Anyway, so, but I have videos on trying to eat it, and it's just, okay, so, yeah, chocolate pudding tree fruit. And it's going to grow back like a champ among champs. I'm sure I'll get 3 or 4 chocolate pudding fruits out of it this year. And what do you do with chocolate pudding fruits? What do you do with anything that's kind of cool and novel, but you've tried and find disgusting? You give it away to friends, you know? I mean, I just throw them in the yard waste. You know, but occasionally people will want to try it themselves, and you know, there's only one way to experience that. Go ahead and let that sucker ripen up and down the hatch. And you tell me how it went. Alrighty, chocolate pudding fruit trees. This is part of your thoughts today. This is part of what you've chosen to think about. And I hope you turn it into action. I'm trying to build advocacy here for a chocolate pudding fruit tree nation. You know, I think everybody should have one. You know, and if you like videos like this about edible things, you know, you can probably tell I've got a lot of them. And for a little tiny yard, go ahead and subscribe to Eat Your Backyard, and then you'll see all kinds of information about this kind of stuff. Thanks for watching. Eat Your Backyard.